I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Reyes Reflection podcast. Follow me at those socials at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Big shout out to ARAVE cards, Jocko fuel, SMACKIN sunflower seeds, and Mad Rabbit tattoo aftercare. Links in the episode bio for exclusive deals. This may be the hottest pairing on a podcast you can get. Today's guest is someone who's an NDA's nightmare. This wonderful guest has an incredible story. He was bullied so badly in school, he had to move states from Florida to New Jersey, came out at 13, battled addiction, faced homelessness, and still somehow managed to find his voice. The first time he touched a mic, he was 5 years old, belting Tina Turner at a local fair. Since then, he's taken that same voice and built a platform from the ground up by building a loyal fan base of 94,000 followers that love his open verse challenges on TikTok. He's worked with Grammy winners, been on national television, and side note, if you've ever called customer service and suddenly heard Hakuna Matata, this might have been him. He's got his own musical journey now, his own message. He once said he didn't have many friends growing up. Well, he's got one in me now. You may know him as Pen Pad Magic, but you're about to know the story behind the one, the only, Darius J, otherwise known as Darius. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me, bro. What an intro.
I gave you my best. No, you sound like a rock star, dude. You do, because
Love it. Thanks.
I don't know too many people that would have gone through what you went through and then persevered and still found some light in that dark time. So, and we'll definitely dive into all of that in a few short moments. Before we do, can you tell me what number comes after 26?
27.
For the people who don't know, that's a callback to the episode of his blind audition when they were like, hey, you're about to be the 26th winner. He goes, no, baby, 27 comes after 26.
I love it.
Darius, let's take it back now. You grew up in Florida. Paint me a picture. What was life like for Darius as a child?
Life was, I grew up in the projects, honestly speaking, I grew up around a lot of women. So I had very strong, independent women, my grandma, three sisters, my mom. My dad was around, but not a lot. So, it's just humble beginnings. Grew up in the projects, the type of kid that was always outside, always playing, always having a good time.
Yeah. In that community living, because I grew up in a similar situation in project homes, that community living is amazing because you don't think anything of it. You're just around with all these friends. You see your friend playing outside. You're like, oh, I'm going to run down and play with him. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's like, that's funny that you say that because, like, even to this day, me and my sister didn't realize we were poor until like a year ago. It's like, wait, so it's like everybody doesn't eat poking beans and weenies, or it's like, what?
Seriously.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's like you don't
don't
know it
realize
like,
it.
Yeah, you don't realize it because it's like you're surrounded by so much love from not just inside your home, but from the community. So yeah.
You're absolutely right. You really don't realize it because there is this camaraderie. And, when you live in those complexes like I did, I remember looking outside my window and seeing my friends play outside and being like, hey, Mom, I'm going to go outside. Oh, yeah, go ahead and go play. And I'd be gone for hours at a time, just exploring nature, doing whatever, God knows what. You know what? I don't want to say too much. I don't want to expose myself too much on this podcast.
God knows
a lot of
what.
yes, the good Lord knows what I was doing back then. I talked about the time that you sang at a fair, Tina Turner. Do you remember the first time when you realized music was your thing?
I mean, like for me, my mom picked up on it before I did. I just knew that I liked performing. Like I knew that was my thing. Like being in front of people and putting on a show, that was my thing. My mom, recalled the event, and she said we were at the fair. and I just went into the booth, and what's love got to do with it was a movie I watch all the time, and she said I just started singing, and she was like, "Oh wow, this is something."
I love that you were able to find it so young, and a lot of people have different things, right? Some people have sports, some people have music, some people have art.
Hmm.
So, how
Hmm.
important is it for someone to find that God given talent and really utilize it?
I think it's super important. I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you where I would be had I not had that goal or had that dream or what type of life I'd be living right now. And I look back on some of the people that didn't have a goal or didn't have a dream and kind of seeing where they ended up. And I'm just so grateful that, my mom saw that and kind of nourished it and kept my eyes on the prize when I didn't see it myself.
When you're in that life, you're around drugs, you're around violence, you're around alcohol, you are around a lot of negative influences. So, it's very easy to fall into that. So, it's important to have these hobbies and people to back you. You talked about how you grew up around a lot of strong women, primarily your mom, grandmother. What was it like for you having mom and grandma trying to straighten you out into the right path?
Honestly, it wasn't that bad for me. And I'll tell you why it wasn't that bad for me. Because my entire family was filled with girls. So I was like one of the only, all the other guys were either years older than me or years younger than me. So I was kind of spoiled in that. So it's like my grandma would, give me what I would get away with things that other people wouldn't get away with. And my mom,
Gotcha.
she was a little more stern when it came to,
Yes.
the discipline and such. But my mom, we had a special relationship just because she would go through ups and downs with my dad. So, I'm such an empathetic child. I was such an empathetic child. There wasn't really too much of, a disciplinary like type of energy from her just because I felt more so in a sense like the dad when my dad wasn't there. So, I felt like I took on that role and, now me and my mom are best friends. So
Yeah, you were the only boy. So it was like, "Oh my goodness," like or not the only one, but you were the one that was there. So it was like,
yeah.
"Oh my goodness, look at this." And we get to go ahead and, treat him like he's a prince and all that stuff. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my sister hates it.
Yeah,
Not
I bet
hated,
she
hates it.
You've shared about how growing up was tough with
Hmm.
bullying. Talk to me about some of the challenges that you faced as a young child with bullying.
I think, when you operate in the energy of authenticity, there's always going to be some pushback. So for me, because I grew up in that environment with women who just accepted me and treated me like, you're okay, everything about you is okay. I go out in the world and realize that, other people don't feel that way. So it's like, I was always authentic in who I am as an individual, just loud and just, wanting to be the center of attention and kind of that rubbed kids the wrong way. So, I was, chased after school. I was beat up a lot. I was in a lot of fights. I was picked on. I was excluded from a lot of things. So yeah, I mean, that was horrible. But,
Yeah.
everything that happened, I'm kind of looking back on it now. I'm glad that all that happened because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here. So
Oh, I love that mindset that you have because retrospectively, a lot of times when we go through challenges, we wish we never did, but then we look back and we're like, wow, we needed that for life. Now that you've
mhm.
been on a national scale, you're getting criticism left and right. You're getting stupid ass comments. You're getting morons reaching out to you saying their 2 cents that really you probably don't give a shit about, but it's
Bro,
annoying. Yeah.
it is like the messages that I've gotten. It's like, but it's like the approach that I have to it. It's funny that you bring it up because I have gotten, I feel, the most, negative commentary, just because again, when you operate in authenticity, people just, find a reason to attack you. But
Yep.
because of that bullying that I experienced, it's funny to me. Me and some of my friends from the show, like it's like we're sitting there laughing And I'm like, dang it, if I hadn't went through that as a kid, I'd probably ready to like jump off a cliff right now.
Yeah, it would hit you harder. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you brought up the authenticity. I 1,000% agree with you. I think a lot of people get insecure within themselves because they know they're not authentic. So when they
Hmm.
see somebody who's authentic, putting themselves out there and not really caring, right? You don't
Yeah.
care. You are who you are. Take it or leave it. You like it or you don't. I think a lot of people try to push back on that just because they look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, damn, I'm not happy with who I am. I'm not happy with
Mm,
my life.
that's
And
crazy.
they struggle to find their identity. Whereas for you, you have found your identity very quickly. You're like, I know who I am. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on people to almost, try to get themselves in check.
And that's funny that you like word for word. That's the conversation I just had with my mom 2 days ago because I was telling her it's like, I get that pushback not just from people that are watching, but also from other people, my coworkers in the music industry as
Hmm.
well, because it's almost like this energy where we feel like we have to put on this front or this fake nice thing or like or pretend to be somebody that we're not. And you see somebody like me and you're confident and they think like, you know, why does somebody like that? It's almost a reflection of how they see you. Because why do you deserve to be
Yes.
confident and I don't have it? Like it's kind of like a superiority thing, and I had to explain that to her because it's like she's seeing it now. It's like, but welcome to the day in the life of what your son's been going through ever since he was a kid.
Yeah. And then they try to knock you down, right? Because it's a lot
Hmm.
easier to knock somebody else down than it is to elevate yourself to that
And
level. Because when you have to elevate yourself to that level, you have to work hard. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You have to be okay with criticism. You have to be okay with people giving you these nasty comments. And it's a lot
hmm
easier to stay down below and give the nasty comments than it is to receive them. So I think a lot of times people will be so quick to want to chop that tree down as opposed to, hey, let me climb up this tree. Let me work up to that. Let me build
yeah,
myself up to that. Because building yourself up that's the challenge, right? Like that is the big challenge of building yourself up with that reassurance, with that confidence, with the I don't give a F attitude. That is the true beauty in who we can become.
and it's kind of frustrating because it's like they don't understand. Like it's just as difficult for me as it is for you. So it's like you don't
Yes.
know what people go through behind closed doors. So to actively try to bring somebody down, it just I don't understand it. But it's like a lot of people grow up and they grew up in environments where they thrive off of validation and they don't know how to validate themselves. So it's I experience that a lot, not just from as a kid, but throughout the industry, even on the show. And what they do is they almost when they realize that they can't control me because I'm very like nonchalant. I feel like I'm the idea of humility to me. I'm going to say my opinion. I'm going to be upfront about how I feel about things, very direct. It's going to be honest, whether you like it or not. But I also know how to. My intent is pure. So when people
Yes.
realize that they can't get to me or chop me down the way they want to, it's like this whole thing of let's change everyone else's view of you type energy. So
Mhm.
I experience that a lot as well.
And I would argue, perhaps I'm incorrect, but I would argue that it's harder for you because anytime you put an art out there, you're open for
Mhm.
interpretation, subjection, criticism. So I would argue that it's harder for you who is putting out music, putting out songwriting, putting yourself out there on a national scale than it is for the average guy who's working a 9 to 5. And no judgment, they're probably going through their BS. I understand that. I'm respectful of that. But
Yep.
for you who is constantly putting yourself out there, because I've talked to other singer-songwriters, how many times you and I, right? We're normal people. How many times you and I have put on the radio, we hear 10, 15 seconds of a song and we go, nah, not for me, and we skip
Not
it.
for me. Yeah.
And so think about that, right? That artist or that singer worked hours, countless hours, sometimes days, weeks, months for that 1 3 minute song. and in 10 seconds we're like, yeah, nah, this isn't for me, and we skip it. And so I would argue that it's harder for someone like yourself who's creating art, putting it
Hmm.
out there to the masses, and you open yourself up to this criticism just by doing that, because somebody could go ahead and say, hey, your song was terrible. But on the flip side, like you said, you have to have this self-validation within who you are, being like, I'm proud of my work, I'm proud of what I've done, and whether you like it or you don't. And I think that that speaks to who you are as a person. And one of the things I genuinely like about you is that you do have that mentality. I've listened to a lot of your interviews. I've seen you on TV. You are that type of individual that's like, hey, this is who you get. You get it. And if you're upset, then I'm sorry, but I am pure with my intentions. And that is
Yeah.
something that I truly admire about you. And I too try to have that lifestyle as well. Whenever somebody gives me criticism, I look at the intent and I try to
Mm.
see the message in between that before I get either offended or defensive. If it's somebody who's just saying, "Hey Nathaniel, you're a piece of crap," I'm not going to listen to that. But if you're
Yeah.
somebody that says, "Nathaniel, you may want to do this," I'm open for that. I'm open for the criticism or even helping me improve. But I'm not here if you're just trying to break me down. I have no time for that. There's no point in that. But it's very sad that we live in a world where, in order for somebody to feel like they're getting ahead, they need to be so cunning and so mean, flat out mean. I gotta ask
Just
you. I want to ask you a question about that, because you talked about how it happened to you as a child, and I experienced some of that as well as a kid. Do you find that it's sometimes the parenting or it's sometimes the nature? Because I find within myself, my mom and dad were always like, hey, you have to be a good person. Try to be a good person. And they like beat that into me literally. So, like for you, do you find that that's like nature, TV, because you open up to TikTok and the first thing you may see is some prank, somebody being mean to someone. So, I want to hear from you. What's your interpretation? Is it a combination of it all? I just want to hear from you.
I think that it all ties into, for me, the way you were raised. Because I remember, like, my grandma. My grandma was the sweetest person that you ever wanted to meet. And it wasn't so much what she intentionally taught me, it's from what I saw. Like, just people and the way people were attracted to her and the way people just flocked to her. Like, I remember growing up, and one of the only things that I wanted to be was a good person. And so that was funny that you said that. And it was because of her. She was just so sweet and so genuine. And I think that the reason why I think it all ties into that as well is because even what you said about opening up social media, like the way I was raised is to believe that media is media. Well, I don't even think I was raised. I think that's just my idea. Like, I was, I understood that media is media. And I think like
Yep.
the people around me kind of instilled into me that this is just entertainment. So even though I can consume or look at TikTok and see something this way, it's not going to be something that's going to change the way I operate because I understand that this is entertainment. So I think
Yep.
so to answer your question of is it the outside world, or is it how you're raised? It all ties into how you're raised for me, and what you choose to do with those experiences that you had as a child.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. You came out at 13, very brave, tough time to come out. You're probably in 6th or 7th grade when that's when everybody's in their awkward phase. How did your family respond though?
So with that, like the show really like, and I know you've heard on other podcasts I talk, they really like push that narrative, which I don't mind. If someone hears it and they need to hear it, I'm okay with it. But it's like even when I heard the story on TV, you can tell that they kind of edited that line from a previous conversation to put in there because I've never been one of those people to make like my sexuality a personality trait or like make it a big deal. But it's like it's something I do. It's not who I am. But yeah, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't that big a deal. Like literally, I walked in the house. My mom. asked me. I think everyone just kind of knew. But my mom asked
Yep.
me one day, just very nonchalantly, and I said, "Yeah." We walked away, and it was like literally that.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought up about the show in that regard, and we'll pivot into that a little bit. You know, I've interviewed quite a few people who have been on that show,
hmm
and it's funny because you're the only one that I've ever listened to that has been brave enough, for lack of a better terms, or even just honest enough and authentic enough to say the things that you're saying in terms of like the show will edit and construct narratives so that way people can go ahead and see this sob story or see this, your sexuality and try to really play it up. Yeah, I don't know why they do that so heavily when somebody does come out on that show. I do notice that on that show, it's like they really push this narrative of like, oh my goodness, they're gay, they came out, they're lesbian, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's great. I love that. I love that they're open about it. But like you said, that's not who you are, right? There's so much more to you. There's
Yeah,
there's a
and
lot to you.
I feel like, bro, and honestly, there were so many more gayer people that they could have like that they could have pushed that narrative with, bro. Like it's like I'm on the same season as people like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I was like, it's like for me to be the, I'm not gonna. They're my friends. I love them. I'm like to make me the token gay guy. It was just really weird, and for me also, like I they sit you down for these interviews and they're asking you questions. First of all, I felt it. Although I'm very proud of my background, to be a 35-year-old man and to make my package about being bullied when I was high school, it's like grow up. Like yeah, I was bullied, but I was in the best time of my life. Like I had just gone through some spiritual healing. I had lost 90
Yep.
pounds. I was living in California, living my best life. I gave you 45 minutes of comedy gold, and when I'm watching the episode and my blind audition, it's like gay, black, and poor. It's like what? What is happening? And it's like even with my mom and my sister, like they did the whole sad story with my mom and my sister. They're like trying to force this narrative when your fan base, your audience rather, doesn't really vibe with gay people like that, and your fan base doesn't. So I don't understand the need to press that either. But even with my mom and my
Right.
sister, it was like we were laughing the entire time. Like when my mom started talking about how poor we were, like they edited out the part where me and my sister just burst out laughing when she started crying. It was like, what are you doing? But that's our dynamic. We're very goofy. We're very fun. We're very. So it was like, oh,
Oh, for sure. Me and my brothers, we laugh about some of the stuff we had to grow up and deal with, and it's water off a duck's back at this point. It's like you said,
yeah,
like I'm gonna be 32, so we're around the same age. I don't really live in the mind frame of I'm so upset of what happened to me when I was 12. That was 20 years ago. I've kind of grown up and moved on. And while there are some times where, obviously we wish some things could have been better, sure. But for the most part, we laugh about it and we move on and we don't really live that
yeah,
life now. So I know what you mean. It's kind of frustrating when they sit you down with clearly loaded questions so that way a narrative can be constructed so that way they can go ahead and like you said have the token black gay guy on the
it
show
was
being
like
like, oh,
what?
here he is.
I'm checking all the quarter boxes. Like, what is happening here? And it's like, because I wanted my experience to be just about fun, bro. Like, I was literally having fun. I was in California and they were paying me to be there. I am not upset about some little kids making fun of me 20 years ago. But it's like you're sitting there, and a lot of people don't realize, and I'm a huge fan of reality TV. So I can't even like watch reality TV the same anymore now, because now I realize it's
Yep.
like, oh my god, I hate this person, and because this person keeps talking about this, it's like, oh no, they're not. They're just sitting there being asked questions and they're answering them, and now you're creating this package to make it look like this person is obsessed with this, or it's like, oh man, you ruined life for me.
Yeah, I'm friends with somebody whose brother was a reality TV contestant on Big Brother, and he flat out told me that they would go ahead and purposely say, like, let's just use you and I for example. Oh, Darius, Nathaniel's saying a lot of shit about you. The producers would run up to them and say that and then fire you up. And then they have, because, for the untrained eye or the person who doesn't know what goes on behind the camera,
Mm-hmm.
you're telling me that they're able to have the cameras perfectly framed all the time for every single blow up you've ever seen on a
Mm-hmm.
reality TV show. So I laugh at that because what happens a lot of times is they rev the person up. And I don't know if it's the same for your show, but a lot of times these people are sleep deprived. They've missed their family. They haven't spoken to them. They haven't done anything related to the outside world. I'm talking more about like Big Brother and those type of shows.
And the crazy thing is, though, Big Brother was filming the same time that we were, so they're not even allowed to leave their hotel rooms.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they have no idea what's going on in the real world. No idea, no clue. So when you bottle up these people and then you just keep constructing these narratives, like I said, hey, Darius, Nathaniel really doesn't like you. He's running his mouth about you. All you're gonna believe is me not liking you. So then that fires you up, and then you finally confront me, and they're like, hey, I think you should go and say something because it looks like he's saying something right now. So, like you said, like I think for people who don't know about
Mm-hmm.
reality TV, and trust me, I grew up watching Real World. I grew up watching all that stuff. So I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But you have to understand that it is a television show that is trying to get ratings, that is produced, and that they are trying to construct these narratives on purpose to have compelling storylines because nobody wants to hear this holly jolly copacetic life. The drama is what sells, right? It's like sex and drama, those two sell, right? And so
Yeah,
for you, The Voice isn't a show that's about sex, so it's a show about drama. So they're trying to promote those dramatic instances, like you said.
and they had a couple moments like during battles. It felt like they were baiting us to talk about our battle partners. like they
No.
kept baiting me and, let's say, for instance, Britain. We talked after, and they kept like trying to get us to say that we were gonna beat this person, and it's like, what is happening here? But for me, like, you can't. I'm a huge fan of like the challenge, RuPaul's Drag
Yep.
Race, anything competitive reality TV. I'm a huge fan of. So I went on this experience not with the mentality like, oh, this is a singing competition. I was like, this is a TV show. So
Yeah.
I wanted to give them the moments that they were looking for, which is again why I was so like, what are you doing? Like making my story so sad. I literally am giving you quality TV gold here.
Yes. Did that frustrate you at all? Because you do seem like this energetic, happy guy that, you don't really get too high, too low, and I'm sure you go through your shit and all that stuff, but I think if you watch a TV show, you would think that that's the complete opposite. So did that frustrate you at all?
Yeah, I was really frustrated. Like the first episode, especially during blinds, just how they edited that part. Like there was so like again, there was so much that happened. We were having such a good time, and it just like even to the point where like they already knew who they wanted to portray me as. Like so it that's why for me it felt unnatural watching it
Yeah.
because it was like or it didn't really, or for me, it didn't really work. You tried to push this narrative of poor, and it didn't really work. People didn't really connect to that, in my opinion, simply because of the fact that it was edited. Like even like you catch me like in little moments where I have like a little like yeah like moment, and it's just like that's what you put on TV because that works with your like bro, it's like I'm not even.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
see. I see what you're saying. Anytime that you did anything that may have been
that was like
flam-
like it was a fairy.
flamboyant, yeah, anything that might have been flamboyant, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna push that out." Yes.
Yeah, it's like, bro, like, come on, like, it's not. And then it's like to know all the time that we spend talking to them, and like for them to change, and not just editing the stories, but the performances as well. So I wasn't happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got to work with Adam Levine, Cheryl Crow, Kelsey Ballerini, and I know that it was probably cool to get insight. But now that you're talking so openly about this stuff, What's it really like to work with them in the sense of like, do you actually get tips and pointers, or is it more of just what you see on the TV is because you see these short snippets of you having conversations with them? Is it really that
Hmm.
way? Is there really a level to connect with them? I want to hear from you.
So what you see on the show is what it is. So we were in California for like 6 months. Like there were times we would go home for a couple of weeks, come back. I would say in that time we spent maybe an hour or 2 hours collectively with the coaches. I mean, that's collectively. So what you
Yeah.
saw is how much time we spent with them. And for me, I think that that's the problem with The Voice. The Voice is too centered around the coaches. And that's why, for me, I feel like American Idol is a singing competition. The Voice is just a reality TV show. It's all about the ratings. It's all about the coaches having PR moments. Because a lot of them are, when they go on The Voice, like they're on tour after, or certain things happen in the tabloids that maybe I need to rebrand or something like that. But yeah, we would sit with them, and they really wouldn't. I don't know how to say this and be respectful. They weren't giving us. If you're looking to go on The Voice, don't expect like some life changing advice from them, because and I think that's the difference between shows like them and American Idol, because American Idol, these are people that were A&Rs. These weren't celebrities. And a lot of times celebrities don't know what it takes to be a celebrity. And a lot of times they think that they're famous for certain reasons when you're actually famous because of this, that, and that. So yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't get a lot of time with them. But we did have vocal
Okay.
coaches behind the scenes that we worked with.
Mm. Yeah, I do notice that. I feel like that show in particular doesn't promote the singers like yourself when
Hmm.
that's what the show is centered around. The show is centered around you individuals and your voice. But you're right, a lot of times, even on the cutscenes, right? Like in between, I've always said this to people, why not have cutscenes of you guys at the hotel? That would be more compelling than this fake banter between these coaches and these celebrities that
And it's so fake.
may not yeah, that may not even like each other, to be honest. Like sometimes I've seen it and I'm like, I don't even think they like each other from what it looks like. But I guess, they're professionals and they got to do what they got to do. But I don't know. I would much rather have it be a situation of like it shows you and somebody else at the hotel pool or whatever, whatever, like something like that. Just something that shows
Authentic.
that's more authentic and shows you guys in your true natural state, as opposed of like you said, like, hey, the 5 minutes I'm on stage and it's just that. And I get it, it's a singing competition, whatever. But why not have you guys in a green room where they can talk about how what you're going through and how
Hmm.
stressful it is for you, right? You know what I mean? Like, why not have those type of questions as opposed of this fake setup? I don't know. That's just me
Yeah, no,
personally.
I totally agree. But I don't think that the show is centered around the contestants. I think that it's supposed to be. But I mean, if you watch the show, it's all about whoever the coaches are, and that's what they lean into for the views, you
Yes.
know? And it's like, and the whole
And I get it
concept of
because
the
they have the
show,
star power.
yeah, and they also pay them a lot of money, so you get it. But it's like, and even the whole concept of the show, it's like the voice is not enough for anyone to be successful. There are so many
Hmm.
talented people, vocalists. There has to be more, and that's kind of why you don't really see any people that win the show take off with any successful careers after. You know, because the voice is never going to be enough.
I've
The
always
we have
wondered that.
like they don't like. Whereas like let's talk about American Idol. The top eight on American Idol had singles out like before the show was even over. Whereas on The Voice,
Yeah.
like right now, we can't even release any content 30 days. Like the people that were in the finale can't even release any content until 30 days after the finale airs. So it's like
Oh
the
shit.
prime opportunity for them to release music and content and really capitalize off of the steam that they have. They can't even do anything. They can't legally do anything with. So it's like it's all about the TV. It's all about ratings. So it's a show.
Yeah, I've always wondered that. I've always wondered how come the people who win aren't stars somewhere else. And I have noticed that I have spoken to some people in the past who had a similar experience. You have more courage than them, respectfully. That's not a knock on them. It's
I
more
get
so of
it.
like, you're an open book and you have been pretty open with me about your experience, but there's some people who have had that same experience, and I think maybe, one day they'll have the courage to speak up on it. But one of the things that stuck out to me, and I won't say who they are, but they were like, yeah, that show almost is afraid to push stars. Like, right? Like, if somebody is a star, clearly, and they're a strong singer, strong performer, they oftentimes don't win, or they oftentimes, like you said, construct this idea to eliminate them earlier so that way they
Hmm.
don't win and they don't have this mainstream press and publicity. Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like not winning is the best case scenario, and I think that winning could actually be a detriment because I think the late you get like a hundred. I think the prize is like $100,000, and then a recording contract with what's the starts with the R, the label. I mean, it's a huge label, and they have Taylor
Oh,
Swift,
Republic?
Republic. Yeah, that's crazy that I can't remember. And I love Republic. Like that's literally my dream label. But they also have like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, Drake, and all these other people that are huge names on their label. And it's like you're just sitting there. If you're not ready with a single and ready to go, you're just gonna sit there, for a year, and nothing's gonna happen. So like I feel like not winning for true artists is really the best case scenario. You get the promotion from the show, but you still get the freedom to be able to move after.
Yeah. Let's transition now into who you are and your work. Your song "Love Me Harder." What inspired you?
So the music that I'm releasing right now, "Love Me Harder," that was written 5 years ago. Like I'm just a storyteller, bro. Um, and I'm kind of another frustrating thing about the show is we don't actually get to choose our songs. So they choose our
Yes.
songs for us, and I feel like they literally gave me the same song in different fonts. But in real life, I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories, and I like to portray and release or relate emotions, because that's one of the things that we all have in common. Is we're all human. We all love to love, and I just love telling stories. So, "Love Me Harder" was actually, I personally feel like the the first catalyst that got me on The Voice because some I did an open verse challenge with Rico Love. Then some guy saw it from Atlanta. He gave me a challenge to write a song. "Love Me Harder" was a song I wrote. And because "Love Me Harder" was so good, he flew me out to Atlanta, which trickled into me doing my TikToks. And my TikToks are why I was on The Voice because casting reached out to me from my TikTok following. So I feel like that was a perfect
Oh.
single to release. Yeah, so
You've got over 94,000 followers on TikTok, as I mentioned. How has that platform helped you?
for me, like what it did was it helped me to find my community, find my people, and made me understand why I do music, which is to connect with those people who are like me. It also gave me the freedom to try different types of music that I never really did before. Like I feel like I'm very genre fluid, but I never could portray that in my own work. So TikTok was the first opportunity where I got to like try different things and collab with different people and really, do the types of music that I love. And again, I'll say it again, TikTok is the reason that I'm here. Like I didn't audition for The Voice. The Voice casting department reached out to me because they saw some of my TikToks. So, you know, I
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's kind of why I pushed that even in the stories with The Voice. Like I was People may have thought it was like me boasting, but I am very proud of that because I did that by myself. A guy with a phone after his 9 to 5, making simple videos. I did that. I got that following, and a lot has come out of that, especially the people who have been so supportive of me. So I'm very proud of
That's awesome. Pen Pad Magic, your social media handles. Where'd that name come from?
that. I, bro, like literally out of my ass. So, I don't know if I can curse on here. I don't know.
Of course you can. Yes. Yeah.
No, but it was in this period where I was like trying to transition from having an Instagram for personal reasons and turning it into a
Yep.
business. Like I knew that I loved songwriting. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And
Yep.
like literally it used to be Darius J like 89 and I went there, it's like, what are we gonna do? And hit Fat Magic. Like I believe that that was God or the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it because I see what I got from it before you said it came out of your ass was I got that it was what I got out of it was that you are a storyteller. You're an artist. You're
Mm-hmm.
right, and so that's what I got out of it. So, you know what? Let's let people's imagination come up with
Yeah,
what pen pen.
no, but it did come out of nowhere. I will say it came out of nowhere, but that's exactly what I wanted to portray, and I do believe in moving with my heart, following my gut, and that's what came to me in that moment, and I know it came to me in that moment for a reason. So
Yep. Yeah. I think I read that you have sung Hakuna Matata as a customer service agent. Is this true?
this is not.
Is this another thing that they just made up?
No, I won't say it was them. I say it was me.
Okay.
Again,
Yeah.
I'll say I was I was a huge fan of reality TV again. So it's like I
Yeah.
know the type of things that people want to hear or and it just kind of felt like when they were digging into my job, like they wanted something to really grasp on. So I was like, yeah, yeah. Again, oh no, you're right. It was them. No, never mind. Let me stop. I'm taking blame for it. They kind of bait you into it, kind of like the Big Brother thing, where it's like, do you ever sing to your customers? Is that what you want me to say? Yeah, sing all,
All the time. I sing all
all
the
the time. I'm actually singing to them right now.
yeah. One time I actually sang a guy happy birthday because when I was asking him for his social and his birthday to confirm it was his birthday and I sang it to him. Yeah, of course I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I actually think people that do that are cringe. But
So isn't that funny how like reality TV looks for people who are cringe essentially because I would agree that that is pretty cringe. But like
yeah,
it's like that's what they want to hear. You're right. They want to hear the craziest stupidest story ever. They don't want to hear that you're a normal person and that you work hard but you're just a talented singer. They want to hear that
yeah,
you're
singing
singing
cool.
weird shit. Yeah. Could you imagine that, right? You go ahead and you call, especially think about it for something serious, right? Like let's say you're calling somebody over your pension or you didn't get a check that your settlement check or whatever, and then you're calling, you're waiting, and all of a sudden you hear some jackass on the other line being like, Hakuna Matata. Like I would be like,
Now,
fuck you.
now that I would do.
You would
If it should be a jerk, no.
So you would do it to piss somebody off. Yes.
Yeah, I would. Listen, if you've ever worked in customer service, it's like.
Oh my goodness. I feel bad for you all. I used to work in sales and sometimes that is with customer service, right? Like you're in the customer service industry in the sense of like you have to make customers happy. Dude,
hmm
I hated it because people would get pissed at me and I'm like, I get it. I sold you the product. But you do know I'm not building these things in my house. I sometimes would have to say that to calm them down. And they'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just so overwhelmed and so stressed. So I feel bad for you all because when you're in customer service, sometimes you're getting some guy who's screaming his head off at you when it's like, okay, I never sold, especially for you, I never sold you the product. I didn't make the product. I'm just here to take the information and relay it to the appropriate team. You can't be patient because you're not getting the answers you want. Like I don't. Sometimes I'm like I don't understand what goes on in people's mind. They just want to yell
Yeah,
at somebody.
they
They
do.
just want to
That's
scream.
all. But you know what? I'll say this. I've had some crazy conversations with people over the years. I will say I'm appreciative of the sales experience because it came into play a lot on that show. Like with those interviews, like knowing how to like come back and having the right response. I was like, okay, we're just clocked in on a different job right now. Okay, I get it.
You're like I'm just gonna lock in, give you the answers you want to hear. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but
Here, don't hear about my real life. Let me tell you some outlandish story. Akuna Matata. A whole new world. That's what you'll
right,
say.
literally.
I want to ask you one more question before we get into the burning question segment of the show. If
Okay.
someone who's listening to you right now and listening to all the stuff about the show and how they want to navigate, would you still encourage them to go do that? Or would you encourage them to make their own path the way that you did?
I would absolutely encourage you to do the show.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage you to go in the process with the mentality that I did, though.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go into this process thinking that this is a singing competition. It's going to change your life. It's going to be super authentic. Go into it understanding that this is a reality TV show. But I would never not encourage anybody to do it. Like because you get the exposure, good or bad. Publicity is good. You know whether it's good or bad. That was horrible.
Yeah.
But you get that, and plus you get paid while you're there. Like no one's. I'm never going to turn anyone away from a paycheck. So
Yeah.
just go in there knowing that this is a TV show, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not and it may not be this life-changing career moment, but it will be an experience that you can have. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've met people that are going to be in my life. Actually, one of them, Kaya from this season, is just called me. That are going to be in my life for the rest of my life, and I will never forget that experience. So, yeah, do it.
All right, we're going to switch into the burning questions now. I want to hear what's the most unhinged DM or comment you've gotten since your exposure on the show.
Bro, somebody said my favorite is this guy said I look like a buffalo in a dress for my American for my American board performance. I was like, that was so or it was like this one comment on Facebook where I don't know the actual character, but there's a Sesame Street character with like a red beard, and and they had that gif in the comment. But I think the most unhinged one by far, like somebody literally messaged me and was like, "You just went on TV to make yourself like look stupid. You're never gonna be famous. I'm gonna make sure of it. And I'm gay, so don't think it's because of that." It was just like, bro, I literally was like, yeah. I think my response was like, they went on this whole rant, and I was like, yeah, you are gay. Like, why are you like? What did you think was gonna happen with this? But yeah, that was the most unhinged. Buffalo in the dress was my favorite though.
So this guy is this clown is going to make it his life mission to make sure you never get famous.
I kid you not. It was like his life's mission. I'm gonna make sure of it, and it's not because you're gay, because I'm gay too, and blah 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 blah. It was like, bro, I wish I could find it so I could paraphrase it, not so I wouldn't have to paraphrase it. But yeah, it was insane.
Oh my goodness. You just got to laugh at them at this point. Like some of these I would just laugh at. I would scroll through and laugh at them.
Yeah, it was. It was like go buy another 5X lady suit. F off. You will never be successful. I will make sure of it. Like, like what? I started sending him messages randomly, like, "Hey, how's your day?" like,
Just send him you singing Hakuna Matata.
right?
Just send,
Mic drop. That is hilarious, bro. That is so funny.
You're stranded on an island. You can only bring one snack for the rest of your life. What snack are you bringing?
Oh, one snack? Ah, that's
Yep.
crazy. Like everyone from the show knows that I'm obsessed with crumble cookies. Like, would I have to
Oh,
bring one crumble cookie or
one
like?
singular crumble cookie. Yes.
Oh,
You
oh
don't get an eclectic spread here. You get one boring thing that you're
my!
gonna be
Wait,
bored of.
I don't get new flavors every week. That's insane. What kind of island is
Mm,
this?
I know, right?
Let me speak to manager. One snack for that is crazy. Oh man, I'm like a big fan of snacks. So this is one snack. I'm gonna say one snack, bro. You stumped me. Like I'll say cheesecake.
Cheesecake? Cheesecake?
Yeah,
I want to say, can I just add that you truly are a customer service rep? Because the fact that you said, "Can I speak to your manager?" You've heard that quite a few times. So
kind
the
of.
fact that you said you want to speak to the the manager
It's in
of
my
this
blood, bro.
hypothetical island.
They have videos of me on set walking around with these headphones talking, like literally right minutes before we go in the room to talk to our coaches, like on the phone. Like if the check's not guaranteed, I'm gonna clock in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got work to do. Yes. All right. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes,
Yeah. Do you wanna elaborate? Do you wanna share why you think it's a sandwich?
I mean, why? It's like it's a meat bun, condiments, sandwich.
Sand.
I turned full caveman. Meat good.
should you brush your should you brush your teeth before or after breakfast?
For me, I'm an after because like
I am
I
too. Yeah.
yeah, I hate toothpaste. Like the taste of it, like
Yeah.
so it's like it has to be like I won't want to eat.
Right. Yes. No, I know what you mean. I used to be a before guy. I used to some for some godforsaken reason be a before guy. And then I realized that I'm like, wait a minute, my teeth are just getting dirty after. So to me, I'm an after guy as well. I agree with you on that. There you go.
It
Yeah.
seems like a very topic that's close to your heart. I'm very
You
passionate about it.
can I tell you Darius, can I tell you something? I had a debate on this right before. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do you think the person in the middle seat on an airplane should get both armrests or none?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, both. Consolation prize. I'm already
Yes,
stuck in the middle of you guys. You get the window, you get the aisle. Yeah, give me these. Yeah, give me both.
I agree. I agree. I agree. All right. And that's also something I feel very passionate about. No, I'm just
The next podcast will be about that specifically.
kidding. I got a chat pack here. I'm going to ask you a random question from the chat pack, and let's see what your fate is today.
Ooh.
Who is the coolest podcast host in the world? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Ooh, how ironic is this? If you could have the voice of any famous person for a day, whose voice would you have? How ironic that
That
this
is
is
what I
like this
need.
is the universe's way of saying that you need a voice because of the voice. So
That is crazy. Well, I'll pick mine. No, okay, let's see. Any famous person, I'd probably choose Donald Trump and like go around like prank calling people. Like, whose voice do I love? I'm not particularly like skilled when it comes to doing a whole bunch of crazy runs. So if I could take someone else's voice for a day, you know what? The first thing that comes to mind, Avery Wilson. Yeah, Like just because
Okay.
he can do all these crazy runs and like just stick with it. So
Okay. I like it. All right. I'm going to add this to the screen and let's see what your take is. Would a giraffe wear a tie like this or like that?
that is insane. I gotta go with red.
Okay, so you got to go with it down on the base, not up top there.
Down on the base because when you think about how we wear ties, we don't wear ties at the top of our neck.
We don't wear ties like right under our chin.
Like right under our chin. Well, I do because there's not there's not a lot going on in this area, but we're gonna go with red on that
You don't
one.
have you don't have a long elongated neck there.
No, no.
Darius, thank you so much for taking the time, sitting and chopping it up with me. You're forever a friend of the show. I've just sworn you in. I know we mentioned your social media handle earlier, but plug yourself in. Where can people find you, follow you, listen to your music, all that fun stuff?
Oh man, follow me on TikTok or Instagram at PinPadMagic. That's PenPadMagic. And go ahead and stream my new song, Love Me Harder, on all streaming platforms.
Well, thank you so much again for joining me. That is going to do it for this episode of the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors, ARAVE Cards, Jocko Fuel, Mad Rabbit Tattoo Aftercare, and SMACKIN Sunflower Seeds. And to all the listeners, remember, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. I'm Oprah as a dude, and I love you all.